My child, I have a secret I need to tell you right now. Something huge about your future that will change everything. Don't skip this, because what's about to be revealed could save you from making a mistake that costs you your greatest blessing. This is something I've been meaning to tell you for a while now. Not to a group of people, but to you, the one person who has been carrying a weight that is different from the weight of worry about money, job security, or the fear of the unknown. You want someone, and this weight is the specific, tender, persistent pain of having love to give, but nowhere to give it fully. You go to sleep next to the space where a person should be and wake up next to the same space. Every day, you have to deal with living with something inside you that hasn't found a home yet. Some of you have been quiet about it. You didn't tell anyone about your longing because people don't always take longing for someone seriously. If you want to find love, you should be happy with your life as it is and let love come along as a bonus. So you built. You planned and built your life well. You grew as a person. You worked hard on your gifts. You gave everything you had in every role you were given. Even so, there is a room inside you that is ready, waiting, and empty. This room was built just for someone, and I can only read their name written in a script on the wall. Every night, you walk by that room and feel a longing for it that is different from any other kind of longing you feel. Before we go any further, I want you to know something. I understand that pain. I am not a God who stands far away from the inside of what you carry. I am a God who lives inside the weight you wake up next to. You are the one I am talking to today, because something is going on around your name that you can't see from where you are. You should know about it before you do something that could cost you what is already going on. Don't move. That's the first thing I need to say. Not as a command that ignores how you feel, but as a message from the person who knows where the person I chose for you is right now, what path they are taking to get to you, and how close they are to the exact coordinates of your life. Don't stay put because nothing is happening. Stay put because everything is happening. And you have to be right where you are for what's happening. Type, "I'm still here" in the comments, my love. I'd like to know what you've been waiting for, because waiting for someone is different from waiting for other things. Again, I want you to know that I know exactly how this waiting feels. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual. Link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. It hurts to wait for a financial breakthrough, but it's not as personal. Not having money doesn't make me think about how valuable you are on a deep level. How long you wait for love, though, can become a question. Different people hear the question in different ways. It's been, what's wrong with me that this hasn't arrived yet? For some of you, am I asking for something that isn't going to happen for other people? Another type of question is, maybe I'm not the kind of person that someone chooses. This is the question you haven't even asked yourself out loud. Really, fully chooses to stay without leaving in the end. Before we go any further, I want to make sure I fully answer that question. The length of your wait is not proof that you are guilty. It doesn't say anything about your worth, how much you're loved, or what you deserve. The amount of time you have to wait is based on the person I have been preparing for you and the steps they have been taking to become the right person to love you the way you were meant to be loved. Someone who shows up quickly doesn't always mean they were well prepared. And what I was getting ready for you needed a lot of work from both of you and them. Because this is what the waiting has been doing to you, that you haven't always been able to see clearly from the inside. It has been making you into the kind of person who won't settle for love that looks like love on the outside, but is actually something that hurts on the inside. It has helped you become more clear about what you are looking for, which can only happen by exposing you to what you are not looking for enough times to accurately tell the difference. That kind of clarity is not a treat. It keeps you safe. It is the exact inner compass that will help me recognize the person I've been waiting for when they get here. And you needed to get that compass ready by waiting before the arrival. Because when it did come, you had to know right away what you were looking at. I want to be honest about how much that calibration cost you. Because it is not easy for someone to gain discernment. It wasn't a waste in any relationship that didn't work out. It wasn't a failure when a connection almost worked but didn't. When someone came along pretending to be what you needed, but turned out to be something else. They were doing something specific to you, even though it cost you. They were giving your insides the exact shape of what you don't want. They were drawing the outline of the fake so precisely that when the real one comes, your spirit will be able to tell the difference. Just like your hand can tell the difference between something warm and something that isn't cold. One thing that can't be taught any other way is the specific way that waiting makes you know something. And that knowledge did not come at no cost. It was paid for behind closed doors in quiet grief, and late nights spent holding on to things that did not stay. It was put in. The reward is that you will be able to recognize the person I prepared when they walk into your life. I've chosen to stand in the comments. Now I'd like to take you to a part of the Bible that speaks directly to where you are now. Looking in every direction and seeing no way out. There was a moment when everyone in the room could hear a reasonable voice telling them, move, run, do something, anything, because staying still looks like dying. Israel's people standing on the edge of the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army was following them with hundreds of chariots and thousands of trained soldiers. Their goal was to take them back to what they had been freed from. The sea was in front of them. It was big and deep, and they couldn't cross it without the right tools. Hills were on the left and right. All four sides of them were enclosed. At that point, every calculation done by a person came to the same result. There's no way out. And when that happened, panic was the only thing that could happen. When someone sees that something is impossible, they do something like run, fight, or give up. But I told them, don't be afraid, through Moses. Stop and look at how the Lord will save you today. According to Exodus 14:13, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, my child. Take a look at what that order doesn't say. It doesn't say, find a way out. It doesn't say, find a way. It doesn't say, do something before the army gets there. Keep still and look. After standing, the seeing takes place. The salvation shows up because of the silence. This is the exact thing I want you to get about that moment. The water didn't move as they ran along the shore to find a way around it. They fought over what to do and who was to blame for what while it didn't move. The wall didn't move while they tried to make their own escape by working hard and being creative. It split as they stood there. Their position wasn't one of passivity. They were in a position of obedience. And the miracle could only happen because they were willing to stand in the middle of what seemed like an impossible situation. You are at your own Red Sea right now. The army behind you is a record of what has not worked in the past. The relationships that didn't grow. The people who left, the ties that seemed strong at first, but then grew weak, and the promises that were made but not kept. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool. Everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now, stay right here with me because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Everything is pulling at your back and telling you that the pattern is right in front of you. The pattern will always be there. The sea in front of you is the distance between you and the person I made for you. And every voice inside you tells you, you need to move. Something needs to be done. This needs to happen because doing nothing is not a plan. Doing nothing is giving up. But, beloved, the sea splits while you stand. There is no need to move when the miracle happens. This person who is trying to find you needs to be able to find you in the exact spot I put you. And your movement is not what makes you easy to find. It's your stillness. Stay put. I want you to understand something that most people don't know about the Israelites at that time. They had no idea the sea was going to split. That was something they had never seen before. That was something that no one in their history had ever seen before. They were told to stay still in the face of an army, even though there was no proof that doing so would lead to anything other than their capture. They had to decide to trust without having any examples to look at. They had to decide that the word I spoke was more trustworthy than all the signs that what was going to happen to them. They chose to do that. They stood, not because it was safe, not because the army behind them had stopped moving forward, not because the water looked like it was moving. They stood there because they thought what I said was truer than what they saw. This is the faith I want you to have right now, my child. That's not faith that says, I trust God because I can see the way. The faith that says, God told me to stay where I am, so I will. The army is still moving forward. The sea is still, and nothing that can be seen has changed. That's the faith that makes the seas part. That's the faith that brings the thing that has your name on it to the exact spot where you are. Type, the sea will part, in the space below. My child, I want to paint you a picture of what is going on in the spiritual world right now with your situation. Knowing what is really going on changes how you feel while you're waiting. Your spirit marks the way. It stands on the shore of your life, strong and tall, and it was made to do one thing only: to send out a steady beam of light that guides what's going through the dark water toward you and the person I've chosen for you, who is in the middle of all the chaos and resistance right now. There is space between where they are and where you are. That person is finding their way by following the sign from your spirit. They don't have a map with them. They are not following a map that was given to them at the start of their trip. They're following the sign your spirit sends when you're grounded, when you're fixed on faith instead of fear, when you're at your lighthouse and not moving, in place of pacing the shore and desperately trying to bring the ship in. When you are calm while you wait, when you have found the kind of trust that lets you say, I know what I was promised, and I choose to believe it even though I can't see the ship. Your lighthouse shines a strong, steady, and clear beam. The person who is coming toward you can see that beam a long way off. They can be sure that they are on the right track because the signal is steady. It says, this is a safe place. There's a safe harbor. It's possible to land. Come this way. However, when you are antsy, when you've been waiting for so long that peace has turned to anxiety, and when you are reaching for something that hasn't arrived yet, your light doesn't go out. It flickers. It stops being steady. It moves when it should stay still. And the person who is navigating toward you has been following the beam through the dark water, but can't make a good course now that the signal isn't stable. They don't get closer. They stay away until the signal gets stronger, because a lighthouse that flickers is not a harbor. It's dangerous. I'd like to show you what your lighthouse looks like from the ship, my love. Your light can reach far away in a way that can't be explained by natural laws alone when you are at peace and have settled into the specific quality of trusting me that doesn't depend on the ship's arrival to make you feel right. It goes further than it needs to. There are places, situations, and other facts about you that should make you invisible to someone who hasn't found you yet. The person who is moving toward you stops what they are doing sometimes and doesn't understand why. They think about someone they haven't met yet. They feel a pull that doesn't lead anywhere. They make choices that don't seem to have anything to do with each other, but they are slowly moving toward the coordinates where your light is burning. They're following something, but they don't know what it is. And the light that draws them is the light of someone who has chosen peace in the waiting, who has chosen to keep the signal strong instead of letting the stress of wanting get in the way of what the other person is using. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad about being restless, my love. It makes sense that they are restless. It's been a long time, but every time you chose to return to peace, every time you pulled yourself back from the edge of desperation to the ground of trust, you steadied your light. And a light that is steady is easy to find. As it says in Habakkuk 2 and 3, the vision is still for a certain time, but it will talk in the end, and it won't lie. Wait for it, even if it takes a while, because it will come. It will not take longer than planned. My child, the ship is in the water. The captain is looking for your lighthouse. Do not turn off the light. Hold on, don't move. Right, I feel it in the comments, my child. This is where I want to take a moment to talk about something that is happening in your body right now as you read this. Not something scary, but something real. As I talked about the ship making its way to your lighthouse, some of you may have felt something quiet happen in your chest. A letting go, a softening, like something that has been holding on for a long time is starting to let go. This is not what comfortable words do. That means your spirit knows what I'm saying is true. When you hear something that fits with what is really going on around you, your inner self knows it. It knows when the word and the reality match up. And when they do, it breaks a certain kind of tension. The stress of someone who has been very careful not to be let down, someone who has hoped and then been let down before, and has learned to keep their hope at a safe distance to avoid the cost of losing it again. Right now, that tension is going away. This isn't because I want you to be careless with your hope. It's because I want you to hold it fully. The ship is out at sea. The captain has the key. You can let the stress in your chest turn into a warmth. Of course, that warmth is proof. That's how it feels when the word you're getting is real. I want to talk to you about something that has been going on in your spirit during this time of waiting that you might not have known what it was. There is a time when the fake comes out after a long period of waiting. Not by chance, not by accident, and at a certain time. The person I chose for you is making their way toward you. And the person who doesn't agree with what I do is aware of that. He can't stop it. He has a plan, but he can't undo what I've already given him permission to do. And this is the plan. Send a fake before the real one gets there. Show you something that looks just like what you've been praying for, and you'll reach out and grab it. And when you reach for what seems like the answer, you get distracted and move away from your lighthouse. That's what you do. And when the real one shows up, you're not where you said you would be. The fake looks like the real thing. It looks like what you asked for. It might have the traits you named in prayer. It might come with a sense of recognition that you take for confirmation. It could happen in a way that seems providential. A meeting that takes place at an odd time for no reason. An introduction that looks like it was planned. A link that grows with a speed that makes you think the answer is finally here. To my child, though, the feeling of momentum is not the same thing as being sure of your spirit. The person who doesn't like what I do isn't creative enough to make something new. He thinks about what you've been praying for and makes a copy of it. A copy that looks like the real thing on the outside, but not on the inside. From the outside, that looks like what I promised, but it works in a completely different way. When you get inside, this is how you'll tell the difference between the fake and the person I set up. The fake makes you feel rushed. It states, act now or lose the opportunity. It makes you think that this person will be gone if you don't go after them right away and in full. It adds a restlessness that lies just below the attraction. That even when things look good on the outside, you can't completely shut down. You can't argue with the checking in your spirit that shows up in the quiet times. The fake wants you to move faster than your spirit is ready to go, to give more of yourself than you are sure is safe to give, and to silence the quiet question that comes up in quiet moments and let the feelings speak louder. There are subtle ways that it asks you to give up something important to you, to break rules you said you wouldn't break, and to tell yourself that the rule doesn't apply this time because things are different. Listen to what I'm saying when you catch yourself making that argument. It's clear that the exception is not the right answer when you have to come up with an elaborate defense for it. The person I got ready for you will show up differently. They will bring a certain kind of peace with them. Not the peace of someone who doesn't need anything from you. The peace that comes from being with someone who doesn't make you feel like you have to control yourself around them. Your spirit will let you know for sure in a quiet but clear way. Not the nervous electricity of the fake. There is a sense of peace, of having found what it was looking for after several months of searching. Listen carefully, my beloved. If you are in a situation right now that makes you feel anxious, rushed, and like something doesn't match up with how I told the person I prepared you would feel, please hear what I have to say. That's not the ship. That is just a trick. Do not move your lighthouse to go after a fake one. Don't move. As the ship sails, a steady light leads it back to port. My child, type "my light is steady" in the comments. I'd like to take a moment to talk about what the person navigating towards you is going through on their side of the water. You may not have thought about it, because you were so focused on the waiting from the lighthouse. While you stand and wait, they aren't just sitting there in comfort. They are moving toward you, and it costs them something to move. There have been times when they took the wrong turn or met people who seemed like the perfect match, but were actually just the start of their journey. They've had quiet nights where the longing was too much for them to handle. They had to make their own Red Sea decisions without being able to see what would happen, about whether to keep going in the direction their spirit was pulling them, even though all the signs pointed in a different direction that wasn't worth the work. There was resistance in their way as they tried to get to you, not because it was hard, but because anything worth getting to requires crossing distance. And because of how far away they were from where you are now, they had to change into a certain person. The crossing changed them. Someone who doesn't get there, the same person they were before the journey, but a different person because of it. That person, the one who went on the journey, is the one I set out to find your lighthouse. Take a moment to help someone. Someone who is in the middle of waiting and starting to think that staying means giving up. Someone who is about to take the fake because the waiting is too much for them to handle on their own. Send this to that person if you can think of them before we go on. They need to know that the lighthouse is still on and the ship is still moving. This ministry may have been the word you needed at this time. Plant a seed in it for someone who is still standing at their lighthouse in the dark. Read the text below the link or scan the QR code that's shown on your screen. Faith. Sown seeds always reach the person who needs this word, just as their light is about to go out. Now, my child, I want to talk about the people who watched you wait and use that as proof. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future, but remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. They looked at how long it took the person I was waiting for to show up and came to a conclusion. Something about you, talk about what you deserve and what a person in your situation should really expect. Some of them put it into words, which were careful words that showed they cared. The soft suggestion that maybe your standards are too high, that maybe you are being too picky, and that maybe you should look at what is out there instead of what you asked for right now. They made it sound like good sense, useful information, or the advice of someone who wants what's best for you. What they really gave you, though, was permission to want less than what I promised. And I didn't give that permission. I wasn't the one who made that offer. The way some of them said, it made it sound like they were privately sure that what they were waiting for wasn't going to happen. But they didn't want to say it out loud. The way they stopped asking questions and moved on from the subject made it seem like the issue had been quickly solved by time. It was like time itself had made a decision. Some of them said it through the way they talked about relationships in front of you. The blaze, resigned tone of people who were okay with something less than what you wouldn't accept, and who wanted your expectations to match theirs, so that giving up would feel like wisdom instead of surrender. People talk about things they no longer believe in when they talk about love. But they don't say they no longer believe in them. You were around that language and could feel its weight pressing against what you still had inside you. Like something important that no one else could see how important it was. They used the time you took to wait as proof. The amount of time that has passed between where you are and where the other person is proved their point. Some of those voices got inside. I didn't say anything loud, just quietly. When I was waiting the most and feeling the weight of unlived love the most. The conclusions of those voices were whispered into the space and asked if they might be right. No, my child. Those voices were not telling the future. They were making plans. It was the edge of what they could believe for themselves, and they called it realism. In those quiet moments, they gave a verdict that was not mine. I didn't give that verdict. What I gave you was a promise. In Proverbs 18:2-2, it says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and gets favor from the Lord." The decision is coming soon. And the people who used your waiting as proof against you will see what it led to. Not the anger they thought it would be. Not the lower expectations they thought the years would bring. What you believed for coming true in its entirety and without any delays. When they see who showed up, they won't be able to explain it in the same way they did while they were watching. The ship will arrive in a harbor that they said would always be empty, which will be an answer to everything they said while they were away. Not as a victory you shout, but as a way of life you live. Everything I said I would do, being fully and quietly present with what was always going to happen. What you said is a stronger testimony than anything you could write. That's the story of someone whose patience paid off, not with an argument, but with an arrival. Let the new person speak. It has all the words that need to be there. I want to be clear about what I mean when I talk about the people who didn't believe in what you did. Some of them did things that seemed smart, but were really driven by fear. Fear that if you kept believing what you said, you would be so disappointed that they wouldn't be able to stand to see you handle it. They meant to spare you, But they did so because they were disappointed in themselves, not because of what I said about you. What I said about you has not changed because of what they went through. It wasn't their word to give. It was never their job to change things. What I wrote about your life before you were born is still true. Also, what I wrote wasn't a question. It was a promise. That meeting between you and that other person was specifically planned by me. And neither of you knew the other existed until it happened. That promise can't be broken by the opinions of people who were afraid to believe with you. It's true because I said it. I also don't change what I said based on how long it takes to get there. In the comments, they can type who found me. My beloved, I want to talk to you now about what needs to happen in you before I arrive. The person I prepared for you is moving toward a certain version of you. Not the desperate or worn-out version that is ready to receive almost anything because it feels better than nothing. The whole person you are before they get there. The one who stands at the lighthouse, not to protect against the sea, but because that's where they live, and life is full and meaningful there. Not because of a ship coming to make it worth living. John 20:24 says that a grain of wheat stays alone and doesn't grow anything unless it falls to the ground and dies. It makes a lot of grain if it dies, though. My child, there is a part of you that needs to be let go before the arrival, the part that defines itself by the waiting, the part that bases its identity on the absence of the person rather than the fullness of who I made you to be, the part that has quietly decided that your quality of life depends on someone else arriving. That copy has to die before the arrival. Needing wasn't wrong, and longing wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was because the person I prepared isn't on their way to someone who needs them to be whole. Their path leads them to someone who is already there. And becoming whole doesn't mean giving up on the longing. There is no better way to say what the longing was always pointing toward. It doesn't go away when grain falls to the ground and dies. It makes more than it did when it was dying. You don't lose anything when a version of you dies that needed to be saved. It is called multiplication. You're becoming the person the arrival says you should be before the arrival says you were always that person. And this is what that death looks like in real life. It looks like picking today to build something that doesn't depend on them getting there. Not to take your mind off of what you want, but as a way to live that is full on its own. It looks like you're putting money into the room of your life that isn't already furnished and ready for someone specific. Filling up the other rooms and making the rest of the house a place you'll love to live in, whether guests come this month or next year. It looks like making plans with just your name on them and following through with the same amount of effort you would use if you knew the person was coming next week. Because, beloved, part of what will be found when you arrive is the kind of person you become while you wait. And what the newcomer finds is where the relationship starts. When they come in, you can't start over. You begin from where you are when they get there. Make the place you're going somewhere worth going to. Kindly write, "The old me is done," in the space below. Sow a seed right now for the person who is still on the edge of letting go of the version of themselves that has been defined by the absence. This person needs to hear that letting go of that version does not mean giving up on the arrival. It's making room for it. Read the text below the link or scan the QR code that's shown on your screen. Plant a seed of faith for the person who is about to let go of what the weight cost them and step into what the weight was always leading to. Now, my child, I want to talk about what the arrival will actually look like, not what the person will do, say, or bring, but how you will know. This is because I don't want you to miss what I have planned by looking for it in the way you imagined it while you are waiting. The ship doesn't always look like the picture you made of it while you were up late at the lighthouse. It could come from a spot you weren't looking. It might look less dramatic and quieter than you thought it would. It might not look like the rescue you were picturing, but more like a recognition. It's more like going back home to a place you've been before, but in a way you couldn't before. The way that what was meant for you arrives is different from how anything else arrives in that way. It does not make a lot of noise. It calms down. It touches down. It goes right where it was meant to go, and it doesn't need to be moved or adjusted. Not because it's simple, because simple things are easy since it's right. And being right doesn't need to be explained. It only needs to be noticed. The specific kind of peace that comes with them will let you know it's the person I prepared. You will be able to recognize the ship when it comes because of the lighthouse inside you that has been steadily sending out its signal for years. Not because someone will say it, but because your inner self will confirm it with the quiet authority of something that has been trained for a long time to know exactly what it needs to hear. The tense feelings will go away. Not because of an outside event, but because what was missing came. And the way someone's heart settles after a long wait is one of the clearest signs that they have been faithful at their lighthouse. While you're not excited, you'll feel a warmth in your chest that comes from knowing someone. Don't close yourself off. Don't ignore it just because it comes in more quietly than you thought it would. When I send something, I sign it with peace, which sounds like silence. If you've been waiting a long time for something, it can be tempting to hold on to it so tightly that you break it. That's why I want to talk about what happens after the recognition. To start waiting for a long time and then hold on desperately, telling the person that your peace depends on them staying. Also, beloved, I want you to know something about the person I made for you. Their path does not lead them to someone who needs them to stay. They are making their way to someone they want to stay with. It's not a small difference. Every time you interact with someone who needs you to stay, they let you know that they need you. And no one wants to be the one who has to save someone. People want to be chosen by someone who is whole, who has a life joy and peace that was there before they came and will be there after they leave. Even though it would be sad to leave. When someone loves someone, they want to be the object of their love, not the hopeless need of someone who has been waiting for so long that the wait has made them feel empty. The choice of someone who thought life was worth living before they met the person and who now thinks the person makes life worth living even more. When you've done a good job of waiting, that's how the arrival looks. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says that he made everything beautiful at the right time. Part of the beauty of the appointed time is in the recognition. When your spirit tells you, this is the one I've been keeping the light on for. Don't close off that moment. Do not tell them to do it. Do not expect it to arrive with a lot of fanfare or in the style you worked on while you were waiting. Let it come as it comes. Let the praise be what it is. Trust the internal compass that I set up while I was waiting. It won't lead you astray about this, because it was made to. It knows what type it is. There are comments before the closing prayer, and that's where I am. There is someone who needs to hear that the lighthouse is about to see the ship. This person is standing at their signal in the dark and needs to know that what they are sending has been received, and that the ship they have been waiting for is now on its way. Read the text below the link or scan the QR code that's shown on your screen. Planting a seed at night at a lighthouse takes faith that the ship is still at sea and that the captain knows where to find you. Let me end by telling you what I need you to carry with you from now on. Don't move, not because waiting is easy, but because what I have planned for you is a navigational path to your exact coordinates. The coordinates of someone who chose to keep their light on even when it was dark and refused the fake when it quickly looked like what they had been praying for. The coordinates of someone who let the version of themselves that needed rescue die before it arrived, so that the version that stands at the lighthouse hole could receive what was always meant for them. The person is moving. They're not just sitting there wondering if you're real. They are moving through the unique challenges of their own journey to get to a spot where your signal and their navigation will both arrive at the same time and place. Every choice they make seems to have nothing to do with finding you, but it moves them closer to you. They are being prepared right now, and the way they are being prepared is the same way you are being prepared. While they stand still, you are not waiting. You're both becoming in your separate places. Find what the other person needs to find when they get there. And it won't seem like a coincidence when it does. It will feel like the right time, which is exactly what it is. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." The stillness is where you can know. Someone who stayed will get what they were waiting for. And the quality of what comes after a long and faithful wait is something that can't be made by hurrying or working harder. That person has that gift because they kept the light on even when it was the hardest thing they had to do that day. That's you. The thing heading toward your signal has your name on it, and it has had your name on it since before you were born. We thank you. It's closer than the darkness makes it look. The wait time makes it seem farther away than it really is. My child, stay. Do not turn off the light. Hold on. The one I got ready is on their way to you. You are the only lighthouse they need to find. Heavenly Father, you prepared this person before they knew the other existed. You put the lighthouse in place and put the ship in the water. You know exactly when the two signals will come together. We now stand in front of you as the chosen ones who are standing at their lighthouse in the dark. These people have kept the light on during the long wait, turned down the fake when it came quickly, and are tired but haven't gone out. Today we hear that the ship is in the water and that the captain has the signal. We let go of the desperate part of ourselves that judged its own worth by the arrival, and we step into the wholeness that the lighthouse needs. We let go of the conclusions other people had about how long we had to wait, and instead listen to what you have been saying. That the appointed time is exactly right for the person you prepared, and that the length of the preparation shows what the preparation produced. We feel bad about the times we almost left our lighthouse to go after something that wasn't the ship. We promise to keep things quiet again. Today, we choose to be easy to find. We have chosen to let the light burn steadily without setting it on fire or messing with it. Do not move us from our spot. Keep our light shining brightly. What message should we send into the darkness? It should be the steady, loyal, and slow light of someone who knows what's coming is worth keeping the light on for. God is the one who makes everything beautiful at the right time and has never been late for a single event. Yes. If this word spoke to you about someone you know who has been waiting for love for a long time, please send it to that person today. That person needs to know that their ship is in the water and that their signal is being heard. Get this message to them before they turn off the light. Loved ones, God bless you. Don't move. Do not turn off the light. The ones I made are on their way to you. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step, your abundance awaits.